الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone is tuned in again to the fourth episode, alhamdulillah, of The Helper's Gift. Alhamdulillah, we got Brother Hafiz and Maulana Nasir with us today, the helper. Alhamdulillah. How you feeling, man? What was it that kept you away for so long?
I was just a little unwell. My sister had COVID, but I was just a little unwell anyway. I didn't get it, but yeah, I was just a little ill, fever and all of that. So, but alhamdulillah, yeah, much better now.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, you were saying that you wanted to be involved in the last episode. I was going to get your take on it, but let's be honest, it might take another whole episode if you do that. But today what I wanted to talk about, there's a few things, but the main thing that I think we should talk about is luxury. So we have that hadith from, I believe it's the narration from Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, that there was a man saying, Aina zahidun ad-dunya, where are the people that have done zuhud from the dunya, excommunicated themselves from the world. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, whom I believe replied to him, go to see the graves, because the Prophet sallallahu and Abu Bakr, Umar radiallahu ta'ala, who at that time have passed away. So he's saying, they are the zahidun. So I guess nowadays I would say leaving luxury is something that maybe is a forgotten medicine of our deen.
Yeah.
Because everybody is striving to be successful and striving to have that success. And I guess everybody thinks it's in materials. What do you think?
Well, in terms of the luxuries, I think you could obviously say with anything, two sides of everything. And the type of luxury the sort of luxury that we should sort of strive to have and strive to get, to have at a level where it's beneficial to us, is of course the luxuries that will help us benefit ourselves and even our families, if you want to include them as well, in the hereafter. So I think with the luxuries, etc., the problem is, as you just said, that the striving for luxury and success has been far too attributed to the dunyawi, to the worldly affairs, with a job that pays well, with money and materials, as you're saying. But when it comes to the luxury of the basic luxuries that we have, that we overlook, yet those luxuries are luxuries that are beneficial to us, but we don't really see it. It's become a subconscious thing these days. Like, until it's gone, we don't realize it. And one of those things, in terms of our deen, I'd say is that the lack of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the lack of hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is either one's too much, one's too less. And a luxury in the sense that if we were to have that and if we were to build upon that, to have that feeling, it helps us be okay as ourselves as Muslims. And that's, I think, is a luxury that sort of benefits us. Of course it does, because when we have in our hearts and in our minds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's repercussions for the bad that we do, and there's the forgiveness even if we do them, then we will live our life accordingly, isn't it? And in another sense of luxury that we sort of overlook and that we oversee and we only realize until it's gone is the luxury of having our parents, whether they be one or both. Just them being there, there's so many things that they do for us that maybe we don't really understand, or maybe as a youngster we didn't really get. But once we get to an age where we get close to the age of marriage, we do get married, we have children of our own, the little things that we do, and that they don't understand and they don't see it, when they reach an age where they sort of understand, where they sort of start to be able to tell that, my parents being here for me is such a blessing. But from a young age, because most of us, we don't really look at our parents in that way, where, alhamdulillah for our parents. It's more, they're meant to be there. That's their job. They're supposed to look after us. Whether we say that out loud, whether we think that out loud, it's something that's subconsciously there. But once you realize that, you're having to fend for yourself, and that roof over your head, i.e. your parents' support and help, once that gets less and less, once they start reaching old age, or once they sort of, if they even leave the world through the permission of Allah, then, we'll see that such a big blessing that we had, that luxury of having our parents around. It's, it's something that we sort of take for granted in that sense. So I guess...
Would you say it's more like us overlooking our luxuries that we have, and looking to the wrong thing for luxuries, or would you say more like because we don't deem certain things as a luxury, we overlook them?
I think it's the second point. So the latter, you were saying how we don't deem them enough as a luxury, so then we overlook them. The luxury that we should be chasing in the sense of their pleasure, helping them out, trying to correct our relationship with them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, because you know how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned hadith that رضا ربي في رضا الوالد, سخط الرب في سخط الوالد, that the happiness and the happiness and the contentment, you could say, I guess, of the parents of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the happiness, and that, Riza Mandi, as in Urdu, that our parents being content with us, being happy with us, it's attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He, has openly, explicitly, He has ordered us to treat our parents so. Surah Bani Israel, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Like, that's the second commandment after not attributing any single, deity, how you pronounce it, deity, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to
no shirk.
No
the next thing.
And then straight away Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Of course, in other places will be أَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, but in this specific ayah, after associating no partners with Allah, after, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone as He should be, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, that we are to be good unto our parents. إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبْرَ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا, that, if one or both of them reach old age, then فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. They can't even say uff. So it's like these ayat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we hear, and maybe we sort of overlook it, because like we were just talking about, how in the society of today as well, it's like, it's every man for themselves. It's like, how do I become successful? People say, and you hear people, I'm going to become successful and then I'm going to retire my mom and dad, I'm going to retire. But then all those years of you going through that grind, where the relationship of your parents really matters, the communication, the little things, the time you spend with them, the dua you make for them, the good that you do in their name, those are the things that really matter. Because by the time you're trying to strive for this materialistic dunyawi luxury and this dunyawi success, all that time that you could have sort of, be gaining more and more through them, you're sort of losing that out. Yes, of course, if one does both at the same time, and they do attribute, and they do, fraction their time in a way, they fraction their time and they split it out evenly, 100%, that's fine. But I'm saying, in a sense that it's become so much that those things are not so, they're not so at the forefront of what we do. Like, it's not even to give an example of, non-Muslims, obviously it doesn't really affect us, but you see, like, these famous people and stuff, like, they're doing all they can, they got a massive following, they've got, all the money, all the luxuries of the world, but their relationship with their parents,
nothing.
It's non-existent, or it's such a bad state that the things that really matter, you know, they don't really realize how much they affect them after.
I think when we're told to do zuhud, right, though, other than that abstaining,
Oh yeah.
we're more, like we're more told about, what would you say, the worldly luxuries, like you touched upon, right? So those things that we think are materials and think that, you know, success is in those things, that we're told to do zuhud from those things.
Yeah.
And I think I asked you earlier, right? I think message in it. What does luxury mean to you? Because everybody's luxury would be different, right?
Yeah.
So what does luxury mean to you?
In the sense of the ones we should abstain from, or just the general.
Just general. So if I was to say, yeah, you know, I'm give you a gift and it's going to be a luxury, what kind of thing do you think it is?
I'd say something that I don't need. Something that. So, alhamdulillah, like through Allah's infinite mercy and grace, and through, you know, the absolute efforts of my father, as from a young age, there were things that I remember going to the shop with him, right? And there's just this toy car, imagine, right? Just a toy car. Not even expensive, like a literal, you know, the ones you drag and then when you let go, it sort of pushes itself, the friction ones.
Yeah.
I just wanted one of them. I picked it up and I remember just holding it, right? And it was like, I get it for you another day, like, you know, just put it away. We're just going to get what we need and we're going to go. And at the time, I was like, oh, distraught. I was like, man, I didn't get that car. And, you know, I was a little bit upset, I remember. And, you know, he didn't really say much, but at that time, it wasn't a big thing. Like, I didn't start crying and throwing a tantrum, but I just remember feeling a bit disappointed. And I was just thinking about that. And when nowadays, like my sisters, for example, or even like family, they would just ask, you know, oh, it's Eid's coming up, or, you know, just want to get you a gift or something. Like, what do you want? I'm just like, what do I want? I don't know what I want. And there's nothing I need. So you decide, like, I'm not going to ask you for something, because if I needed something, I'll ask for it, or I'll try to get it myself. Do you get it? Like, so I think for me, luxury is something that I don't need. Do you get it? Like, and as we say, when we have more, I'm a big thing of when you have more, there's more problems, if that makes sense. Like, the little you have, and if it's enough, you know, what more do you need? Do you get it? Like, nowadays,
being simple, right? Like, just simplicity.
yeah.
Simple.
And I think sometimes what it is, right? People are too quick to attribute when someone is content, or someone has enough, and they say they have enough, and they say, you know, you're just gonna settle for little. Like, you know, why don't you try to get more? You know, okay, cool. In a sense of academics, in a sense of an achievement, you know, try push yourself, no problem. And that's, you know, that we encourage people to do. But in a sense of, okay, you're trying to push yourself academically, and, you know, in a way that will get you more materialistically. In that sense, I just feel, okay, you know, that's where it's sort of the route to corruption and then corrupted intentions sort of lies. Because once you get more now what? Okay, cool, you know, you can maybe do up your house, renovate it, this and that. You can get more for family. But it's like, how much more do you need? How much more do you want to give? And if you have a lot, then, you know, will they start expecting more from you? Like, people that are close to you, people that, you know, maybe rely on you for sustenance. Obviously, sustenance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in the sense of you providing, being the breadwinner, for example, it's like, how much will they start expecting from you now? Say, for example, yourself, you know, you get, alhamdulillah, you know, you're married and you have a child, right? So then, from a young age, say, you know, you're working a good job, and then you're getting your daughter, or, you know, your children, you know, nice thing. Say, for example, Allah forbid that, you know, you lose a job, for example, and you're going through a hard time. You're going through a test where, you know, things are not going your way they're not quite going your way in terms of, like, dunya stuff and your job, etc. Financially, yeah, simply put. And then now she's, or your daughter, or your any children, they're gonna be like, oh, you know, what's happening now? Like I'm not getting what I used to get, or things are not the same. And they're at that tender age where those things are not quite in their minds of appreciating and knowing when sometimes you can get it, sometimes you can't, and then maybe a hidden resentment starts growing in them. So it's like it's all those things factored together. Of course, like there's so many people that are well off, that are their families are really well, what do you call it, educated, well mannered, and they have that sort of what's the word I'm looking for? As a structure to their life. No, wait.
Characteristics?
Steadfastness, isn't it? Steadfastness, like in terms of they don't let it affect you. Like Dean would always be the priority of everything. So it's a fine line, I'd say. It's a very fine line. But for me, luxury, in a nutshell, in a simple phrase, is anything that we do not need. That's a luxury.
I think there was a few questions I was going to ask as well, like, because we're told to leave luxury. Like you said, there's the difference between the things that you want and the things that you need. So a lot of the things that we want, they're basically, like you're saying, luxury. Mm-hmm. But then we do get the things we need, and we get more than we need, and then we waste what we shouldn't be wasting and stuff. But as Islam and as our deen, it kind of like encourages leaving luxury, as we can look at the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, look at the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, and you can see that like simplicity and leaving luxuries is the way, and that kind of makes you stronger. And if it's not physically, it makes your iman stronger, which physically makes you stronger.
Oh, yeah.
With barakah, sure. So I was gonna say, like, what kind of luxury do we need to leave? And I guess we kind of touched upon that with worldly luxuries, the things that we don't need, the things that we want.
Yeah.
We gotta get away.
I think,
and then the other thing was, why should we leave it? Or why should we leave these things? And like, how do you practically leave them things?
Yeah. I think.
Right. What do you think?
I think something that's very, like we were saying, a lot of this conversation, things that are overlooked, and something that we don't really notice. And I myself have been very guilty of it, like in past years, especially I think more recent years, like since our graduation and since we left the boarding and stuff. So back then, obviously, we had to budget a lot with how we used to, for example, if your parents weren't that well off anyway, they'd give you a certain amount of money, and obviously in Darul Uloom we used to like order on the weekends, right? But it's like if you didn't have much money, you could only order on that weekend anyway. So the point I'm trying to make here now is that now obviously when you grow up, you get a job, you start earning, right? Food, and as you can tell by the trouble on my face, and I'm not even gonna show us. Yeah, it's been something that Uber Eats, actually at the click of a finger, click of a button on our phones and our hands. So it's like we know there's food at home, but let's order something more. Let's order something. Oh, I'm fancying this. Let's go and get it. It's this day. Oh, you know what? Can't bother to cook or something, or mum's not really made anything yet. I'm just gonna order something like that. So I think that is something we should try our best to, like, because we have so much of it, we overlook how much we need of it. Does that make sense? Like we said, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to have people used to gift him, or he never used to, but as in people used to people used to gift him like food, etc., and he'd have a little and then he'd pass it on to other people. So in a sense of like having too much, I guess, like we've overfilled our sort of appetite in that sense. So it's like we don't eat to eat enough, we eat to enjoy it. Do you get it? Like, and I think that's it's a fallacy in ourselves. Like it's not something we should be like proud of. But yeah, that's just that.
I think I did a hadith about, like you were saying, the Prophet ﷺ gives. Well, yeah, but there was a hadith that I just read today actually, the Ansar asked the Prophet ﷺ for whatever was with him, and then he gave it, and then they asked again, and then he gave it, and then they asked again, and then he gave it, and they kept asking until anything that he had, he was gone. Whatever he had was finished. And then he went on to tell them that, whoever seeks certain things, they can get it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever seeks sabr, they'll get sabr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, the best thing and the most virtuous thing and the most vast thing that anybody can be gifted is sabr. So I guess that kind of comes into this whole zuhud thing, like not going for your luxuries, controlling your nafs.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, what kind of luxuries do you think you can leave? But I guess Uber Eats is probably
Sure.
on the top of that list.
I think with that as well, it's a very, it's how do I say it? Like, it is something overlooked, because even, I think, is it hadith where even this overeating is sort of a waste as well? Or it's just, maybe just the saying, like,
Forgot it.
yeah, he advises us to 1/3, food,
Yeah.
1/3 water. But you know how we just say stuffed, like, and the thing is, that's become so common, isn't it? It's like we eat till we're unable to move, we're in a food coma. And
you gotta take a break, and then slide down, and then start again. Then what?
Part of that is the it's a bit of a cultural thing as well. It's like when you go to a dawah, for example, right? Eat to your fill, like you have to eat. We're gonna make 10 dishes. You have to try every single one, and if you don't, you look bad. But yeah, it's a difficult one, and of course, like we could do better to control it. And yes, we should accept, it's a right of a Muslim that we accept the doubts and stuff. I'm not saying not to go and not to eat.
Oh no, but it depends up to you how much you want to eat, though, innit? You can control your plate.
Yeah.
You don't let people pull in the food for you if you don't want that much, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So
another thing was that when I was learning how to drive, actually, when I was learning how to drive, my driving instructor from Welling Garden City, his Muslim brother, mashallah, Hajj was his name. He was teaching me how to drive, and I remember, like, we were talking about cars. And I was like, yeah, one day I probably would want a good car, but I don't think I'll ever get it. And the conversation came up with, like, can you be a mu'min, like, following the deen to the T, and still be rich? And, like, obviously the answer to that, first and foremost, okay, look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's a successful businessman. Okay. But then we look at the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and then also Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So we're talking about the Sahaba. Yeah, Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And we see, like, when it came to buying Bi'r Ma'un, I believe the name was, the well behind Masjid al-Nabawi, and Uthman ibn Affan, he went and bought it. Okay, he bought half of it first, he bought the full thing. When they needed provisions for Ghazwa Tabuk, Uthman ibn Affan, had all these camels ready and everything. Maybe rewarded for that. As we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is already happy with him. But it's like, that kind of stuff, like, they were rich, but they followed Islam to the T. Because here we say, okay, the Sahaba made mistakes, but they did istighfar from it. And it's like, can you do that and still be rich with, like, a supercar and a big mansion and all this and that? Or can you still be rich and not have all those things? And that would mean that you're following Islam to the T. What is your opinion on that?
So obviously, my take on it in terms of luxury. So I think the Sahaba, not even I think, what we read from the Sahaba Kiram's, life stories, etc. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he was a wealthy Sahaba. And Abdurrahman ibn Auf, as you just mentioned as well. Many Sahaba Kiram were well off, alhamdulillah, in terms of the dunyawi mal, the dunyawi wealth, etc. But it's what they did with it. What they did with it was nothing other than, for the sake of Islam, spending it. So it's like, I think it could go back to what they have been enough. So they used to make it such where the money that they did, or the wealth that they did accumulate, they'd spend it and keep what was enough. Whereas Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, of course, as we heard, how when Umar radiallahu anhu was like, you know what, I concede defeat, I cannot beat him. Because when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously, he had asked, you know, who can spend from their wealth to help out the most fellow brothers? You know, some Sahabas said, I'll give this portion of our wealth, I'll give that portion of our wealth. And Umar radiallahu anhu said, I'll give half of my wealth. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, I left the Quran and Sunnah at home, everything else I've given. Do you get it? And how did they have such a reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the strength of Iman, that, you know, they'll be fine in their hearts, that, you know, I can give everything away, yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for me and for my family. You get it? So it's like they had worldly wealth, and in today's day and age, it'd be the super mansions, like you say, the mansions of today probably, or the, you know, apartments and this and that of today. So having it, of course, you know, if you've worked well for it, or you've inherited it, it's not your fault. But it's now what you do with it. It's like, are you letting it affect you? Are you letting it, you know, affect your potential relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it affecting how, you know, people view you? Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's view is the far, you know, it's the most important one. But in terms of like, are you getting such a character that because of your wealth or because of what you have, that now you're looking down on people, or you're treating people wrong? And for that reason, people that are, you know, in terms of dunya, they're like below you, in terms of like they don't have as what you have, and now they're now looking at you like, oh, you know, forget this guy. Of course, there'll always be people with these sort of things, the potential of jealousy and evil eye, nazar, and that is always there. And to believe in these things, you know, it's part of our aqidah. We have to believe in the evil eye. Yeah, ayn haqqun, isn't it? Well, ayn haqqun. And we know, Prophet, you know, he was also affected by black magic, etc. So these things will be there, unfortunately. But are we doing the things that will help us protect ourselves from that, from unnecessary and finger blame?
Yeah.
You know, just.
I think that's like, from what you're saying, I understand that you're saying that if your risk is basically opening up, if you are getting stuff, your generosity and, like, you know, that needs to change as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were getting £10 and you used to give £5 sadaqah, now if you're getting £100, you can't just carry on giving £5 sadaqah. Like that, sadaqah needs to increase.
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah. So I think my answer to that, as in you know, can you follow Islam to the T and still be rich? I guess as long as it's not our needs, like we were talking about before.
yeah.
As in, if you got a 6-bedroom mansion, but you need a 6-bedroom mansion, then well done to you, that you got what you need. But you know, like, if you got a 6-bedroom mansion and you use 1 bedroom and you have 4 sitting rooms, but you use 1 sitting room, and you have like 10 kitchens, but you only use 1,
Yeah.
then you don't need all that stuff. Like you said, it's a waste.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I ain't got that much time, but the next question, should I let it marinate, or should I ask you when I ask you? I've got one more question, or 2 more questions.
So go for it.
So this question was, how do you judge success then? Because we live in a world where your success is your wage, what you drive, what you wear, what you smell like. And I guess, how should a Muslim be judging success in that way? Because we can say, oh, the more good deeds you do, that's right. Yeah. You know, your success in the akhirah is what matters, yes. But then for a 21st century Muslim, you know, a normal person, how should they be looking at success, and how do they change their perception on success?
Okay. I think all in all, it just always goes back, because the Quran is always, it's timeless, right? And of course, because of the environment. What's funny?
That's just like, if somebody asks you a question, there's no, like, if you give the answer from the Quran, there's like, what else can you do there?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I guess, like you said, it's timeless.
Yeah. So it's
just sick.
yeah. Honestly, it's really amazing. It's the fact that the relatability factor will always remain, because as Muslims, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? That's all we're meant to be listening to. And I think the moment someone says that, what, they doubt it, or they they feel they feel indifferent to it, then where the real problem lies, where it's our actual focus is in the complete wrong place. That they want to be a good Muslim, but then when it said that in the Quran, this is what success is. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, hayya al falah, hayya ala salah. Simple. It's just, I think the nowadays, and the Aimma and the scholars, the Imams and the scholars and the Akabir of even today and even previous years, whereas obviously it's even more relevant today because of how materialistic the world has become. As long as we have our 5 days salah, we're not doing haram. We're doing all that we can to abstain from haram and do good. That is success. That is success. And the Aimma, some ulama have put it in such a state, some ulama meaning scholars, they have put it in such a way that they've said, because of how bad the world and society is today, if a person was to have their 5 daily salah in check in this day and age, they could even be classified as a wali of Allah. Imagine. It's like, it's so hard to be steadfast these days. You know how the Prophet ﷺ in the Hadith said that time will come where holding on to Islam and Deen and your Iman will be like holding on to burning coal. So have your salah on point, stay away from haram, do what is good, have good relations with your parents and with your family, don't cut that. Do read the Quran as often as you can. That's success, really.
I think I got a different take on it, in the sense that if we look to the Sahaba, they were still rich.
Yeah.
Or a few of them. But when it comes to like success, I think it's more about how you feel with yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
That once you fight that whole self of, what you need and what you want, once you know you have everything you need, you can't get any more.
Yeah.
I think. That is your success. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that is that success. But then, making sure you're doing the bare minimum.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely.
Actually, just one last one, and that was, I guess we kind of touched on it all throughout and along the way, but it's practically, how do we bring this into our life?
I think a lot of it will be just really appreciating what we already have and understanding and trying to understand the what's the word? The value of everything that we already have. We look back at the basic things that we have in our lives. How we were talking about just having a family, having a roof over our head. These things, when we learn to value them, when we learn to really appreciate them for what they are and what they contribute to our lives, then we realize that these are the things that matter the most. And then when it comes in terms of luxury and what we want instead of what we need, then it feels pointless. Then, we'll have that feeling of, do I really need this? When we have that understanding and we are able to value those things properly by looking at, for example, how we went to look at those people that are below us, those people that have, in the sense of, that have less than us. not below us in terms of status, because obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has, He judges everyone by their actions, not by their appearances and by what they have in terms of, physical and worldly
material.
So, we should try our best to, appreciate and value what we already have.
You look at it as silver lining,
For sure.
as in the things that we have, like don't take the things for granted, and also the little things we get don't.
Exactly so. And it's like you're gonna have to keep attributing these sort of feelings and these sort of examples back to those, back to the people that have worldly wealth. Whether they be Muslim or non-Muslim, there's always things that they say that, what, money doesn't give happiness. And then the people that don't, or the people that think that they don't have enough, will say, well, I can buy this and I'll be happy with it. But it's like, when they say it, there's always a deeper meaning to it. It's not just, yeah, I got this, I got that, and now I'm not happy with it. Do you get it? And it's like the people that don't have it, they're like, oh, but I can spend it on this, and then once I get that, then I'll be happy with it. But it's the fact that they don't find a contentment with it. There's a complete big difference with happiness and contentment. Because being content is that feeling inside you where there's not a need for you to, accomplish more, in the sense of, by getting more, I won't, I'm going to feel okay. Or by, but that contentment is that just knowing that in whatever situation you're in, you're fine. Whether it be, not, you could say, look, the daily struggle is part of our life, right? And that in itself is when we go through it, we are able to, get the things that we sort of need, right? And sometimes, we do have our basic necessities met just by doing the things that we're meant to be doing. Do you get it? But in terms of doing that extra to then get that more, it's like, now, once you achieve that, then what? Do you want more after that? So that level will never sort of dissipate. It will always be there. Like, you just want more, you want more, you want more. But it's like, when is it enough? So that's what the people, the celebrities or the rich people of the world, it's like they're getting more and more and more, but then what after that? Do you get it? Like, when is it going to end? So the basic things that we have, if we're able to appreciate, then, like the luxuries in that sense, he won't affect us, and we won't be, be too tied down by them.
Yeah, I guess like one of the Imam actually touched on that, because I did a hadith again, Riyadh al-Salihin, because we do Talim after Asr, and after Asr Talim we were in Babu Tawbah, and it is the second to last hadith about if mankind was given one valley of gold, then he would want another one, and there would be nothing that would keep his mouth full, meaning satisfy him, except illa turab, except from the mud, meaning that once a person dies, then your greed would finish with you. But as long as you're living, your greed is always going to be there, and you're always going to want more, and you're always going to want a next one, you're always going to want the next one. And I guess that you're saying that, yeah, you need to put a line and draw a line and say, how much is, what is enough, and when do we say, yeah, that's it, that's all I need. Because I think I was watching a video of a YouTuber, I forgot his name, the one that likes traveling everywhere and like all that stuff.
Was there
No, it's a non-Muslim YouTuber. Something KC or something, I forgot. But yeah, he was saying something about like, he didn't monetize his YouTube channel for so long, and then when he started monetizing it, he saw in the first month he got $6,000, and he was like, wow, that's a rent, and that's enough. Like that's what I need for the month. That's more than enough. Next month, 16,000, and he's like, oh, okay. And next month was 60,000. Wow. So then he was like, well, if this is how much I can get, then how about if I go get more? And like that's human nature, right? If you think you can hit a certain target without even trying, then you're going to think, yeah, if I try, then I can get higher. But then it's like, yeah, for what though? And then like you're saying, yeah, if you put meaning to the dunya, if you put meaning to the worldly statuses that you get, then you're going to want to get them. But if you don't put meaning to them, if you just think that it's just a status that is going to finish just like everything else in the world, then you ain't going to go for them. Because what's the point of being a doctor and a master's in something just for people to say that you're a doctor and master's when, like you said, you could be a hafiz, or you could be a 5 daily prayer, you could be a faster, a regular person that fasts, and then on the day of Qiyamah, you'll be called from those doors. So I guess that, it depends what we put importance in. And I think the youngsters nowadays, it's amazing because me being in my place, I think all the youngsters are very far from deen, or, they're not focusing on it too much. But then just today, before Salah, somebody asked me about Bitmojis. Is it allowed or not? And I was like, what are you using them? He said, I was doubtful and I haven't used it because I'm doubtful, but can I use them? And if you think of nowadays, youngsters are just like, Bitmoji, bro, use it, send it everywhere. You see adults with it. And it's like, this youngster had that thought in his mind. But I guess, you say alhamdulillah for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I think I like what you just said as well, like, about being a doctor, and that I think there are people out there that are genuinely, genuine in terms of what they want to do with things about doing a doctorate or doing, some kind of a university study. And of course, they'll get the benefits of the dunya because you got to put more effort in, 100%. But there are definitely genuine people out there that, doing that doctorate, it's for the community, because we do need those people, 100%. And it's not to say that,
100%.
It's not just to obviously, you don't even need to say it, and I don't need to doubt you, but just so everyone else can hear that it's not you saying don't become a doctor, or don't be part of contentment of selling for enough is not becoming a doctor. No, but if saying it in a way that is still 100% something that's necessary, so we do it, but with the right intentions, not just because we see the state of the NHS, etc. The more that the people are struggling, especially with the way the current climate of the world and in UK, etc. And how we're seeing the NHS is collapsing, this and that, and it's the nurses and the doctors, they're feeling very hard done by the people that are employing them, etc. They're not getting enough, or they feel like they're being mistreated, etc. And of course, if someone's being mistreated, we shouldn't just stand for it. We should try and challenge those people that are mistreating people. But what I will say is, of course, that the people that were into the NHS, or that are in, the doctoring field, or any field that sort of is there for the community, to benefit the community, then them as well as us, with what we do in whatever field we're in, we should always renew our intentions. What are we really doing it for? If you want to do it for money, go to, so I don't know, some trading 2-on-2 class and try to build money there. Leave the NHS. You get drowned.
Trading 2-1-2.
You know what I'm saying? If your goal is money, then trust me, put your efforts and your studying in these trading bros, or these Bitcoin and these NFTs and stuff like that. The NHS or the fields that you're in, it's not for you. You get it? If it's for money, because you're gonna years, the sleepless nights, the caffeine overdose to study these things, and then you're gonna go there and feel mistreated, and the actual intention you went for to help people, that could end up being affected. Your or people who end up being so caught up in the fact that they're getting mistreated or not getting treated well by the employers, that people that actually in need, we're not able to provide that care for them properly. We're not doing our job properly. So it's the same thing with imamate. It's the same thing with anything with the dini side of things. If you're working at a place where we feel we're being mistreated, yes, of course, try your best to have a discussion with them and say that, what, can I ask, or can I'll speak with them, just saying, I don't feel this is right. Can we sort of discuss it and try to make things better? But other than that, if it's just a constant where, I'm not getting enough, then we can't be there. We're just gonna have to look for something else.
There's always there's a line that, like we said, you have to draw a line somewhere. So It depends what your motivation is. If you see the satisfaction in you helping somebody, then like we were talking, I think, with Benjamin last time about teaching.
Yeah.
Like if you see satisfaction in helping kids progress, then that's your field. But if your motivation is how much you're going to get paid and stuff, then look for the highest paying job that you can easily do, and do that. But yeah, as in, once again, and it comes down to what's your motivation? Where do you draw your line? What do you think is important? And yeah, once you do that,
Or how much you need as well. From
definitely. Have you got anything else? Because I asked all my questions. You got any?
nothing really. I mean, what else can we add to it? We've talked about what it is in our eyes. Yeah, let me ask you, what is luxury in your eyes then? What is luxury in your eyes?
It's a hard one because
Would you
as I was go on.
something similar to what I said? How luxury is anything that we don't need?
Yeah, as in that would be my, in a nutshell. Yeah, in a nutshell, the things that we don't need but we want, they're luxuries per se.
Yeah.
But then somebody said they're going to give me a gift and it's a luxury gift, I'm going to be thinking, oh, like a really good watch or a really good car. It's like, yeah, you don't need it.
Exactly. So khair, yeah, that's so the gift.
Yeah, I guess that is it. The gift of the day. You got anything? I got something.
It's your turn. So go for it.
Hey, I did last time as well. Yeah, just because you were absent, man, still wants me to do.
Was it Benjamin?
Nah, Benjamin is a guest. Yeah, I got a gift ready today. It's from a book, actually. It's a little segment from the book Ayyuhal Walad. That focuses properly. And as you can see there, by Al-Imam Al-Ghazali, rahmatullahi. Yeah, it does say there, just making sure. So this book, he was written because one of his students asked him for advice. So one student studied with him, but because he lived far, he said, can you write me something that I can use and look at too, and, just a point of reference for me to carry on and increase and get better, certain things that I should do. So he wrote a book, and legit, it's a small book, it's not really big, but there's really I don't know, it's very deep. There's certain deep things in it. And one bit that he says is a little story that's narrated from Imam Shibli. Imam Shibli, his real name was Abu Bakr al-Shibli. So he was from the area, Iraq, I think it was at the time. Now it's Iraq. He passed away in Baghdad. And here it says that Imam Ghazali said, the story goes that Imam Shibli, he studied or he helped Arba'a Mi'ati Ustadhin. He helped 400 teachers. And from those 400, he read Arba'u Alaf Hadith, and he read Arba'ata Alaf. He read 4,000 Hadith with all these teachers. And then, he thought to himself that I've learned 4,000 Hadith, but, am I acting upon them? Are they good for me? What have I learned? Anything? What have I learned from that? Knowing all these Hadith? What good has come to me from these? So he's trying to think, what should I do with all these 4,000 Hadith that he's learned? So then he said, you know what? Let me think of one Hadith that I could use as my life motto. Just one Hadith that I would use, and, I won't need anything else. That's all I need to use. And he went through the 4,000, and he said, this is the one that he came on. اعمل لدنياك بقدر مقامك فيها. Work for your dunya بقدر مقامك فيها. Qadr meaning, as your time, according to the time that you will stay in it. So work for that dunya, work for the world for as long as you're going to stay in the dunya. So 60 years, then work for enough that you need for 60 years. You don't need more than that. So, work for what you need and that's it. وَأْمَلْ لِآخِرَتِكْ بِقَدْرِ بَقَائِكَ فِيهَا. And work for your akhirah, the hereafter, for the amount that you're going to remain in it. Baqa, and how long we're going to remain. You're going to be there for eternity. So, make it the best that you can. Don't try to think, I'll be okay with the lowest. I'll be okay with the lowest level of Jannah. Yeah, but you would want it as good as you can. And وَأْمَلْ لِلَّهِ بِقَدْرِ حَاجَتَكْ إِلَيْهِ. And work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to how much you need Him. And وَأْمَلْ لِلنَّارِ بِقَدْرِ صَبْرِكَ عَلَيْهَا. And work for the fire according to how much sabr you have upon it. So looking at all these three things, we know Rasulullah sallallahu was Jawami al-Kalim. There's a lesson in each sentence that we can take from this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open these lessons to us and help us understand these lessons.
Ameen.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to act on what has been said.
Ameen.
Jazakallah to everyone listening, Jazakallah everyone tuning in, Jazakallah for having Maulana Hafiz Nasir back, the helper. And, inshallah, keep us in your du'as, keep us in du'as so that we get better. And also, let us not forget the people that are being afflicted by the earthquakes around. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them sabr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant the people that have passed away Jannatul Firdaus and the highest levels, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them all paradise and grand meeting with their families.
Ameen.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah wa ahsan al-jazaa fi ad-darain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله